North Korea marked Kim Jong-il's 67th birthday by launching a verbal attack on South Korea. Seoul and Washington have stepped up on their readiness against Pyongyang's potential missile threats. And Korea is getting ready to adopt the filibuster system to prevent the majority party from controlling the National Assembly. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, the 16th of February. I'm Nemo Kim. North Korea has marked the 67th birthday of its leader Kim Jong-il by launching a verbal attack on South Korea and threatening to wage a nuclear war. But Pyongyang has avoided denouncing the U.S.
The head of the North Korean parliament has denounced the South Korean government in a message to mark the 67th birthday of Supreme Leader Kim Jong-il. Kim Yong-nam urged a fight against Seoul. North Korean media says Kim Yong-nam criticized the conservative Lee Myung-bak administration for destroying inter-Korean relations. He called the incumbent South Korean government an anti-unification and belligerent force that will eventually bring a nuclear war on the Korean peninsula. For the North's parliamentary leader to publicly criticize the South and mention a fight is unusual. Kim Yong-nam's comments are a far cry from the attitude the North showed last year. Without denouncing Seoul, Pyongyang just urged the implementation of inter-Korean agreements reached in two bilateral summits held under the previous two liberal governments in South Korea. This year, Kim Yong-nam has pledged to advance ties with countries who approach North Korea with a spirit of goodwill. He also refrained from addressing the U.S. in this year's message. The North has prepared to celebrate its leader's birthday for several weeks. In South Korea Monday morning, a group whose relatives were abducted by North Korea sent anti-North Korean leaflets with North Korean currency to the north at the inter-Korean border's Imjin-gak Pavilion.
Seoul and Washington have stepped up on their readiness against Pyongyang's missile threats. High-ranking officials of South Korea and the U.S. held a series of talks, and Washington has deployed reconnaissance planes to monitor missile-related movement in North Korea.
South Korea and the United States have agreed on concrete measures against North Korea. Presidential Foreign Affairs Advisor Kim Sung-won has visited Washington last week, and U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Christopher Hill has come to Korea to discuss Pyongyang's nuclear and missile issues before U.S. State Secretary Hillary Clinton's trip to Seoul.
I can only tell you that the U.S. position is we do not accept them as a nuclear weapons state.
The Japanese media reported that two reconnaissance planes have been deployed to U.S. Air Base in Okinawa, Japan, to monitor the nuclear state's move to gear up to test-fire long-range missiles. The scout planes can keep surveillance on the North's missile-firing attempts by tracking missiles with infrared sensors and analyzing their trajectories and performances. The South Korean military is reportedly in the process of building an anti-ballistic missile system. The Airborne Early Warning and Control System studies the missile directions and relays the results to the command control to initiate an air defense artillery unit's counterstrike. Meanwhile, the National Assembly has begun a hearing on the government's foreign affairs and security issues. Key agendas at the hearing had to do with inter-Korean relations, such as Seoul's countermeasures against North Korean provocative action and the Korea-U.S. alliance issue, as well as denuclearization and anti-Pyongyang leaflets.
The Green Movement seems to be influencing the presidential office of Cheongwade. The office has built a new environment-friendly building for guests, which uses solar and geothermal energy for heating. Cheongwade is to make all of its buildings eco-friendly in the near future.
The presidential office has turned its reception building into a new state-of-the-art facility. The two-story building has an underground floor, information room, library, and cafe. The renovation cost more than $2 million.
장소가 또 약간 좁은 그런 미래식 이런 것들이 불편해서 이번에는 좀 획기적인 아이디어를 낸 겁니다.
The building is named Yeonpungmun and is the first in the presidential office to use solar and geothermal energy for heating. The environment-friendly heating system is expected to cut energy costs as much as 20%. All buildings of the presidential office will be made eco-friendly using energy-efficient lighting and heat-insulating materials. Officials will soon begin building inspections. Buildings with self-power generation will be built on a trial basis, and staff will be encouraged to commute using bicycles. The presidential office will also use cars running on electricity while putting greenery on the roofs of its buildings. A newly launched committee reporting directly to the president will support the administration's green growth policies.
Korea is gearing up to adopt the filibuster system to inhibit the majority party from controlling the parliament. Filibuster is a legitimate form of obstructing the legislative process. Once the system is in place, it could prevent the eruption of violence often seen at the Korean National Assembly.
It's a clip from a movie about a young senator obstructing a dam construction bill at the Senate by engaging in a 23-hour speech. It shows what filibuster is all about. Filibuster is a legitimate tactic of impeding a legislative procedure to prevent the arbitrary actions of the majority party. During the 6th National Assembly session, former President Kim Dae-jung, then Democratic Party member, blocked the passage of the bill to arrest a fellow lawmaker by extending debate for 5 hours and 19 minutes. The recent violent scuffles at the parliament rekindled the debate on adopting the filibuster system.
합리적인 필리버스터 제도를 도입할 용의도 있습니다. 국회 정개특위를 조속히 구성해서 논의에 착수할 것을 야당에 제안합니다.
The Democratic Party is in favor of the system, making detailed proposals to counter the abuse of filibuster.
그 부작용을 막기 위해서 상임이나 전체 회의, 본회의, 제적위원 과반수 의결 또는 5분의 3 이상의 의결로 조정 절차를 종료할 수 있도록 하는 것입니다.
It still remains to be seen whether the filibuster will be adopted in Korea to balance out the rule of majority and respect for minority.
Companies are changing their key business lines to try to overcome the economic crisis. They're discarding business stereotypes and boldly giving up unprofitable sectors. Instead, they're turning to areas with great potential.
Samsung SDI's flagship product is plasma display panels. The company suffered a deficit of more than $565 million in 2007 due to stiff competition. But Samsung SDI posted a surplus of more than $95 million last year. The rebound is thanks to the company's change in strategy to focus on producing renewable batteries for laptops and cell phones.
지금 각광을 받고 있는 차세대 태양전지 그리고 차세대 연료전지 등까지도 사업 영역을 점차 확대해 나갈 그럴 계획입니다.
The Hyosung Group's core business was textiles and chemicals, but this has switched to heavy industry. Power generation was Hyosung's most profitable business among its affiliates last year. The conglomerate has also entered the renewable energy sector and started producing wind power generators.
앞으로 한 5년이면은 한 5조 정도 신재생 쪽에서 뽑아내는 매출 규모라든지 그런 로드맵을 가지고 가고 있습니다.
경제 상황이 안 좋을 때는 그 비용을 낮출 수가 있고 기대되는 그 업종 전환을 통해서 기대되는 이익 증가가 커질 수가 있겠죠.
Companies are fighting the economic slump by preemptively adapting to changes in the business environment.
Hundreds of swimmers braved the winter freeze to take part in the polar bear swimming competition in Busan. The intrepid participants jumped in the cold seawater to test their mettle.
The winter beach is packed with people in swimming suits. After a short warm-up, these bold swimmers jump into the cold waters at the sound of a starting whistle. They fight off the winter freeze with hot-blooded shouts.
사람이 너무 많으니까 그 열기가 전해질지 모르겠는데 진짜 뜨겁고 아주 춥긴 추운데 괜찮습니다. 춥지 않아! 춥지 않아!
The spectacle of some 600 participants swimming across the choppy winter sea reminds people of summertime. Swimmers from all walks of life came out to test their physical and mental strength and renew their New Year's resolutions. Even foreigners came out to enjoy the fun of this unusual event.
It's exciting. Wakes you up. We have definitely better than coffee.
Entering its 22nd year, the polar bear swim has now become a popular special event among diverse participants celebrating the season.
Korean-American golfer Michelle Wie has made an impressive debut in her first tournament as a full-fledged member of the LPGA. Here's more on how Michelle did at the SBS Open in her native state of Hawaii.
The $10 million girl Michelle Wie is back. She's returned to the green in the LPGA season opener. Wie led early on but stumbled in the third round with a double bogey on the 11th hole. She lost in her first tournament as a full-fledged member of the LPGA by 3 strokes to Angela Stanford.
이번 주 잘한 게 많아서 저도 더 뭔가 자신감 있게 하고 뭐 더 잘해야 되는지도 알고 그래서 다음 시합에 더 잘하고 싶어요.
Wie might not have won the event, but she did win her confidence back. She's shown more practical play, adapting herself to the field instead of focusing on long shots as she usually did. Wie played more carefully using wood instead of drivers and raised her accuracy on the green to 67%. But more importantly, Wie seemed more confident and calmer. Great things are expected of the young golf starlet in her first season as an LPGA member. Among other ethnic Korean golfers who competed in the SBS Open, Che Na-yeon and Angela Park tied for 3rd, and Sarah Lee tied for 7th.
Cows are very special to the Korean heart, and that's reflected in Korean art. So here's a look at artworks which focus on the theme of cows.
The sculptor recalls his childhood at the nostalgic clanging of scissors of a traditional Korean taffy vendor.
이 엿장수 소리가 나면은 그 달콤한 맛을 잊지 못해가지고 집에 있는 냄비 같은 거, 뭐 숟가락 몽디 같은 거 가져가 엿을 바꿔 먹고.
The traditional scissors were turned into heads of oxen at the fingertips of the sculptor. Though unrefined, each figure has a unique but familiar expression. The sculptor reproduced long-forgotten taffy seller's scissors in his artworks. This artist has drawn the abstract pictures of oxen for 4 decades, highlighting their honest and diligent characters. The artist has created a familiar scene by drawing oxen and a thatched hut against a backdrop of a rural landscape.
모든 동물, 인간이 만든 인공적인 모든 것까지도 가족과 같이 귀중하게 생각을.
Korean independent documentary film Old Partner, depicting the friendship between a 40-year-old ox and an 80-year-old farmer, has drawn more than 600,000 people. The exhibitions of artworks on oxen are also appealing to many art fans.
Jeju Island sees spring the earliest in Korea, and the yellow rape flowers have already bloomed on the resort island. Today we'll take you to Jeju for an early glimpse of spring. Spring is everywhere on Jeju Island. Many fields here are covered with bright yellow. Rape flowers, which normally blossom in April, are already in full bloom. The yellow field faces Seongsan Sunrise Park. People are drenched in the scent of flowers and they enjoy an early spring.
유채꽃을 그림으로 보면 봤지 처음 보는데요. 향기도 좋고 삶의 그 의욕이 막 느껴지는.
Ume flowers will not lose out to the rape flowers. Cotton candy-like white blossoms cover the branches of the Japanese apricot trees. The hot pink ones are also stunning. You can also see Adonis, called the harbinger of spring. The elegant white daffodils have also bloomed. They're shaped like a golden goblet sitting on a silver plate.
예, 금잔옥대요. 예. 이게 그 추운 겨울을 지나고 아주 뭔가 역경을 지나와서 아주 봄을 맞이하는 그런 게 우리한테 희망을 주는 그런 느낌이라서 좋은 것 같아요.
Visitors are mesmerized by the aromatic scent and they lose track of time. You can get red flower perfume on the site. Another Jeju specialty is the native black pig. Buoyed by the warm weather, baby black pigs are also in a good mood. They've been fed well and they're ready to play and amuse the spectators. For the first course, they pass through a 32-meter maze dotted with earthen pots. They nimbly climb up an 8-meter-long steep road. The highlight of the race is the slide. Viewers cheer on as the pigs slide down. The pigs on stage are the smart ones selected in a 7-to-1 competition.
훈련하면서도 정말 돼지 잡고 붙잡고 사정도 해보기도 하고 같이 우리 잘 해보자 다짐도 해보고요. 이런 게 같이 함께 어우러져서 완성이 돼서 도시민들이 더없이 좋아하니까 완전 보배 같은 돼지죠.
Now let's tantalize our taste buds. This Jeju specialty dish for the spring looks a lot like the soup Koreans have for hangovers and is called momguk. The main ingredient is gulfweed, which is high in minerals and vitamins. They're currently in peak season in Jeju waters. Gulfweed is boiled in pork bone broth together with peppers, minced garlic and cabbage. Put some buckwheat flour paste in the soup and momguk is ready to go. Another spring delicacy on Jeju Island is pingtteok, which is radish slices and pheasant meat wrapped in bok flour pancakes. If you're easy for the warm season early on, head down to Jeju Island, a paradise of yellow rape flowers. And it's time now for a look at today's economic indicators, followed by world weather. And that does it for this edition of News Today. Do join me at the same time tomorrow. Thank you for watching.